Okay, welcome everyone to the Heart of England Agile User Group. Tonight we are welcoming back Romano, who has spoken twice before. So he's becoming a regular speaker at the group. And also Ueli, who's come to speak with him this time instead of Nadine. So they'll be talking about how to implement lean portfolio management with Kanban and OKRs. And I don't know about other people, but certainly it's a hot topic, lean portfolio management. Where I am at the moment, I'm with an energy giant, and there's a lot of that kind of thing going on, which is fantastic. Should we move on to the next slide, Romano? Okay, just a note about me. And firstly, an apology. I'm going to have to leave the session early, so I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Romano and Ueli. My telephone number's there, so if you did need reached out to me, and I can't possibly think of a reason why, but if you did, then that's my telephone number. You can contact me. You can also look at what I'm doing outside of this on coachnigel.co.uk, or of course follow me on LinkedIn. Next slide, please, Romano. Okay, just a quick one on house rules. So this is a Scrum Alliance Pro user group, and we do conform to their code of ethics. You can have a look at it down there. You go online, have a look at what that code of ethics is. We do like people to have cameras on to help with interaction, be present, obviously be respectful, and mute your mic if you've got background noise going on. In terms of the code of conduct, I can summarize that for you. Just be excellent to each other and we will be all okay. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Romano and Ueli to start the session. Over to you guys.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Nigel, for having us again here at this user group. And yeah, we will talk today about the lean portfolio management and how we have implemented lean portfolio management at Zühlke. But first, we would like to show you what we have brought with you. So, Ueli, next slide. So this is the agenda. We will go through that, and as always, if you have questions, just raise your hand with this raise hand option, or write into the chat. Ueli and I will monitor the chat, and Nigel also, as long as he is here. And we will have a look at your question, and we can always answer your question. Of course, at the end, we will have plenty of time answering your question. So we will have roughly 45 minutes where we are going through this agenda, and then afterwards we will have the discussion and the question and answers. So first of all, to bring everybody on the same page, we will talk about what exactly is this lean portfolio management. And after that, we will look at what the MVP, the minimal viable product, which we did at Zühlke, looked like, what we did there. And then we also look at the feedback which we have got from the group executive board. And then we will have a look at the learnings and what we are doing right now. What are the next steps which we are doing along after that MVP. So next slide. Just as a disclaimer, which is quite important, what you will see and what you will also hear is under the copyright of Scaled Agile. We took some pictures out there. We also sent the slides to Scaled Agile. They have approved these slides so that we can present these slides to you. This is quite important. So when you take something out of these slides, please make sure that you always have the right copyright there. Then some of the content which you are seeing has been adapted. So we have adapted the lean portfolio management from SAFe a little bit so that it fits to our needs. And one thing that is always important, the Scaled Agile framework is just a framework. Use it as a toolbox. Take out of this toolbox what fits your needs and what solves your problems. And you will see how we did that and how we took the parts which fit in our context very well, how we took them out and how we used these parts. What is also important is please, for the correct use of lean portfolio management, always refer back to the safe documentation about lean portfolio management, because there is the real source. We have really adapted that. And of course, all of the examples that we will show you are anonymized. So next slide, please. And I give it over to you, Ueli.
Thank you, Romano. Good evening, everyone. Before we start, or before Romano tells you in theory what we did, I would like to give you a few information about Zühlke as a company, so that you know what we do. And what we do actually is empowering ideas. We are really in the innovation field. We believe that technology can help our customers, our society to do a positive change. And that's actually what we're doing for many clients. And we believe that this is also very important for a sustainable future. So innovation is really in our genes. Some facts about the company. We are in 10 different countries now. We have 16 offices. The company was founded more than 50 years ago by Mr. Zühlke. It's owned by partners. So let's say the capital comes from people working in the company. You can see where we have different teams, mainly in Europe, but also in Asia. We have offices in Singapore, in Ho Chi Minh, and in Hong Kong. We are more than 1,300 actually these days, closer to 1,500 employees across these two continents. We have many projects on in the 50+ years. We say over 10,000 small or larger innovation initiatives. Some words about myself. I'm with the company almost for 20 years now. So next month will be 20 years. I started as a software architect and consultant, and pretty soon switched into management positions in the company. I was part of the executive team in Zühlke, Switzerland, and now I switched to the group. I'm actually the group operations coordinator now in the Zühlke group. And I still enjoy the journey very much. Maybe Romano can give a few information from his side. He's with the company even longer than I am. Romano.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 2 months longer than Ueli in the company. So I work now since 20 years for Zühlke. I started directly after university as a junior .NET engineer. Then I became an expert software engineer, then a lead software architect, and then a principal consultant. And one of the things that was always at my heart was, how can we continuously deliver value? So how can we ensure the quality of our product? And when the whole DevOps movement started, I jumped right on top of that. And nowadays, I'm one of the organizers of the DevOps Meetup Zurich, which is a monthly meetup where we talk about DevOps topics. You can also register for that. Currently, most of the sessions are still remote. And I'm also one of the organizers of the DevOps Days Zurich, which is a yearly conference we are doing in Zurich. The next one is on the 31st of May. And because the DevOps topic is really my hot topic, I also do a lot of videos all around DevOps. I have my own YouTube channel with a lot of bigger and smaller videos. And I also post a lot on LinkedIn and Twitter, and you can always follow me if you want. Currently, I work with different clients in different industries on Agile transformation, but also on DevOps transformation. And together with Ueli, I have introduced lean portfolio management at Zühlke. And when you know me from the other sessions, you could also see that we have also introduced participatory budgeting. And there are also some videos around that on my YouTube channel. Yeah, next. But now to get everybody on the same page, we give you a small theory input what exactly lean portfolio management is. Next slide. So what is exactly the problem that we try to solve with a lean portfolio management? When we look at the companies, then many companies nowadays, they don't have a clear picture what kind of initiatives or what kind of projects or also innovation things are going on. They have not a clear picture also about their capacity, and what they are trying to do is they are trying to manage that by an annual planning. So they have annual financial plannings. They have project cost accounting. They look at the budget, and if you are 10% below or above the budget, then this is bad. And this is not a very healthy mode how you can work, because you know that things are changing, and suddenly you also learn a lot of things during the doing of projects. And what you also can clearly see is most of the development teams are overloaded. Also service teams, all of the structures are mostly overloaded. And this is also due to not knowing what exactly the capacity is of these development teams, also service teams. And then what many companies are trying to do to manage that, they make phase gate approval gateways to mitigate the risk of project failures. But usually what we have there is just a lot of paperwork, a lot of waste, which does not bring anything, and the risk is still very high. Then they try to do over-detailed specification and business cases to mitigate again the risk. But usually what happens is you do a lot of effort into a business case, and then there is only little time or little money to execute the business case. And usually you are just too late on the market with your business case, which is also very, very bad. And I think the most important thing is that most organizations that I see out there are output focused than outcome focused. So when we look at output is all about delivered tasks done, or user stories delivered, or features delivered. So it's more on how much can we deliver in the end than really what the outcome is, what we want to achieve by doing something. So has the customer, did we meet the customer need? Has the customer behavior changed based on what we did? These are the things where we need to focus on. And because the customer does not care about how many tasks you have delivered or how many requirements you have implemented. The question is, did your thing solve the customer problem? And that's why we need of sort of changing how we do a project or big initiatives. And we do that by implementing lean portfolio management. Next slide. So what we did is we took that toolbox, which you can see here. This is the SAFE framework, the full SAFE framework. So we opened that toolbox, and when you look into that, you see a section with the essential level, a section with the solution level, and you see a section with the portfolio level. So we looked at that portfolio level, and we took out of that portfolio level the tools which fitted to our problems and which we can use. And Ueli will tell you more about which tools we have chosen and why we have chosen these tools. So next slide. So to get a more understanding, we need to look at some of these tools from a more general perspective. So the first thing we need to understand is what exactly a safe portfolio is. So a safe portfolio is always a collection of value streams. In this case, development value streams. And each of these value streams support or maintains a solution. And solutions are delivered to the customer. That can be an internal customer, but also an external customer. So in the end, a portfolio is just a collection of these value streams, and you can see they have a budget and they deliver solutions. And one interesting thing is that PB thing, this is the participatory budgeting, where you are going to split up the budgets. Next. So an enterprise can have, of course, one portfolio, but it can also have multiple portfolios. And it is important to understand this because smaller enterprises have usually only one portfolio, but larger enterprises have multiple portfolios and they can also stack on each other. So we have also identified at Zühlke that we have multiple portfolios. And for those who were in the talk about participatory budgeting, there we talked about the fruit portfolio. In the fruit portfolio, we are doing participatory budgeting, but we are not doing lean portfolio management. In the in our portfolio, which is the large initiative portfolio, which we are talking right now about, there we are doing lean portfolio management, but we are not yet doing participatory budgeting. And you can also see, use the right tool in the right context. This is a very important thing you need to do. Next. So one of the most important things is this portfolio Kanban, which you can see here. And in most organizations, what we can clearly see is they have no clear view on what kind of initiatives are going on, which initiatives are in flight. And for that, you can just use plain Kanban and just bring that on the table, which initiatives are currently in flight and which are planned. And of course, you can also use this Kanban board, which is very good from SAFe, where you have a funnel. So in the funnel, all the large initiatives are coming in and they are collected there in this funnel. After the funnel, we are going to take these large initiatives and we say, okay, what exactly is the hypothesis behind this initiative? So what is the idea? What do we want to achieve? Who is the customer? What is the value that we are bringing the customer? And we're going to analyze that. And we use for that the epic hypothesis statement from SAFe. Also, we at Zühlke use that in an adapted form. And we are also going to identify what are the leading indicators. So how can we, as fast as possible, validate if this hypothesis is true or false? By which indicators can we do that? After that, we are going into analyze. And in the analyze, we are going to make a lean business case. And it's very lean. It's only a 2-pager where we take the epic hypothesis statement and we are going to detail out what exactly the MVP is that we are going to build and what are the full requirements. And then we are also going to estimate in t-shirt sizes how big this epic is so that we have a rough estimate what we are talking about here. And then when we have done that, then we are going to put it on a backlog. And the backlog is prioritized using WSGIF, which is an economic prioritization. And after that, the different development value stream can pull the epics so that they can start implementing these epics. And there we are going into implement. And there we have the lean startup cycle, which you can see there, where the first thing we are going to do is we are going to implement the MVP to prove the hypothesis. And we are going to prove the hypothesis with the leading indicators that we have defined in the epic hypothesis statement. And if we have proven the hypothesis, if the hypothesis is true, then we are going to invest more into this epic. We are going to implement more features, more user stories. And if it has been disproven, then we are going to pivot, and we are going to think about, are we going to stop at all with this hypothesis? Or are we going to pivot and say, okay, we need to change it slightly and create a new epic, which then again goes into the funnel and goes again through this portfolio Kanban board. So this is an essential part on how you are going to tackle large initiatives to get a clear view on what is exactly in flight. And with that, you are also able to limit the work in process. And with that, to you, Ueli.
Thank you, Romano. And thank you for presenting the theory again. So, I mean, if I listen to you, I always get the feeling, okay, that maybe we should tweak and turn and so on. So what you told us is kind of how to do it by the book, right? And now let's go into a bit more detail and see what we really did in Zühlke so far. And I saw one question from Ray asking who would give the t-shirt size. I could say what we try to find for all these initiatives is initiative owner who would then drive the initiative during implementation phase. And usually it's the initiative owner who should give us the t-shirt size. Actually, we ask a bit more than the t-shirt size these days. But it's the initiative owner who should give us this. And actually the t-shirt size that we took is also depicted in the pages from SAFE. They have a list there where they assign the t-shirt sizes to strategic initiative, I don't know, US dollars or whatever. Okay, so let me now tell you a few things about how we did it. And I would like to start with the question, what did we want to reach with this lean portfolio management? We simply wanted to make better decisions when it comes to the question, what initiative to start, when to start. So that was one part. So make better decisions. And the other was to do the initiatives leaner if possible. And we, as Romano mentioned before, this is really about the strategic initiative in the Zühlke group. So we are just looking at the initiatives that are of interest for the group executive. So our group steering, if you want. There are many other initiatives going on, but they are beyond the radar of this portfolio, and therefore they are not part of what we are talking about today. So the first was, why do we want to have a portfolio management? We wanted more transparency. It's maybe even a bit strange, but we didn't have transparency about the ongoing initiative in the group. And that was one thing we wanted to have first. And then we wanted to make a bit more holistic decision making due to this, to the entire image that we had. And we wanted to continuously implement the strategy. So in a few, let's say, years ago, we had a lot of initiatives just improving, let's say, the basics of the company, but not paying into Zühlke strategic goals too much. We wanted to change this. And also we wanted to have a state-of-the-art portfolio management. That was these were the most important reasons to introduce portfolio management. Now we did not just introduce portfolio management, but we introduced a lean portfolio management. That was at least hope. So we wanted to go for lean in order to have early feedback, in order to learn fast. I think this is always what you want to have with an agile approach, with a lean approach, also to learn and also maybe adjust things if you see that you're not going in the right direction. The second was we wanted to also reduce work in progress. We had many initiatives, they were just stocked, and still they consumed some energy because you always thought, okay, I have to make progress, but actually you didn't. So too many things in parallel. The third reason was to improve also the return on invest. So with lean, with learning faster, we also assume that we would improve our return on invest, not go too long in a direction only to learn later that this was the wrong direction. And number 4, we wanted also to split some large initiatives, some real monolith, into smaller pieces, and let's say eat the elephant more bite by bite, so that we also can make again decisions if we see the starting smaller initiative shows us that we, for example, that we don't even have to do the large initiative. So then we decided to go for the kind of an industry standard, and for SAFe, actually we do have some sales SAFe consultants in Zühlke. It's also a bit eating our own dog food, if you want. And we think this is quite a standard. I mean, these guys also collected good practices. They did not reinvent the wheel, but we believe this is a really good basis to take, and we also wanted not to come up with all the details ourselves. Now, what did we really implement? I think this is probably the important question tonight. So let me show you maybe from left to right some this is my personal judgment. What did we really do already? I believe we really have a nice lean portfolio management, and it's also acknowledged from the GECs, from this group executive, and also from the initiative owners that we have across the group. We have the initiative owner, the epic owners, and this is important. This is the person driving such an epic forward. We also over time valued that we need to have an enterprise architect role in our lean portfolio team, because many of the things we're talking about, many initiatives, they do have software or IT involved, and it's important to make sure that the architecture, that the new initiatives fit somehow into the enterprise architecture. So also what we have, we have this enterprise view. This is the enterprise portfolio. As Romano mentioned, we do have other portfolios, but I think we really have now a clear view on it. Organizational agility, I don't know, this is starting somehow, but we are not there yet. And then also on the top here, you can see the operational value streams. So the value streams that really deliver the value directly to the customer. I think this has also started. We have a view on this, and this participatory budgeting that Romano mentioned, it's actually the budgeting for these value streams above here. But I mean, today we are talking about the development value streams, where I can tell you we don't have this lean budgeting yet. But very important here, we do have strategic themes. We have really a clear understanding what the strategic topics for the group are. I'll show you this in a minute. We don't have the portfolio vision. I'm not sure whether we'll have it anyway, but we do have, again, the portfolio backlog, the Kanban that Romano showed. And then we also have the epics, of course. And also, I think from vision roadmap, we can show you an example here. It's not rocket science, but we do have this roadmap of ongoing future initiatives. So as said, there are some things missing. Development value streams we don't have yet. And this is a very important piece that we are still missing. We're working on this. I'll show you this as one of the last slides. But this will, of course, not allow us to do the lean budgeting stuff and some other features that we could do once we have it. So this is what we, my view on what we did already in portfolio management. Now I will go a bit more into detail. I'll show you some features, for example, Kanban, and then also we have the coordination of this entire portfolio. and I will show you some details about OKRs, because this is, I think, really nice. And then also I will show you how we have the roadmap assembled together. So let's start with the first one, with the Kanban. You can see it depicted here. It's actually an implementation in Jira. We have this Kanban board, and there is a specialty that we have. I think this is really a nice one. We don't just accept ideas for new initiatives in this Kanban, so in the funnel, but we encourage also our colleagues to come up with goals or with epics, and we also take these into consideration and treat it on a monthly basis with the portfolio team. So over time, we push the things forward with this portfolio team. Also, we include the GECs every 3 months so that they can have a view on the initiative roadmap and give us update. And also we support the GECs by assembling the goals, for example, for yearly goals for the next year, by taking the epic of type goal, if you want, and we support them by coming up with appropriate goals. We can also judge how well they pay into the strategic goals of the group.
Ueli, and we have a question.
Sure.
About how long do initiatives take to get through the portfolio Kanban? My concern will be analysis, paralysis, and review and or analysis.
Okay, that's I think that's not our problem, actually. I would say we rather have another problem sometimes. So, I mean, for the initiative to go from here to here, it can be very, very fast. Sometimes we even skip some of the nice things that Romano said. So I think these days we have to make sure that we really come up with an understanding of the, let's say, of the hypothesis that we do the lean business case if we believe this large initiative should have one. So this is actually not the problem. We are sometimes initiatives, they just rush through here, and because, let's say, if the board of director or the chairman or the group CEO wants an initiative to start, and this is happening sometimes, then our problem is rather that we cannot really stick to good practices like limit work in progress than the opposite. I would say, if this would answer the question. Maybe, I mean, if you have more, then please speak up.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. So this is the portfolio. And then let me show you maybe another feature that I find interesting here. We have, we use OKRs in Zühlke. And what we use it in this, in the lean portfolio context is, actually, you can see this is kind of the North Star here. So we have the vision, and then you can see in pink, there's 5-year goals from the Zühlke group. And then we have the yearly goals. This is now 21. I did not update for 22 right now in blue. And then we have the initiatives in blue with these orange frames here. So you can see it all fits nicely together. And this is actually a real screenshot from GTM Hub, our OKR tool. And I think this is beneficial if you know, everyone in the company can actually see this. If you know what the strategic goals are, if you can see how the goals pay, or the initiatives pay into the goals, I think this is really helpful because you can also see in turn, is there a goal with no initiative going on? And it's hidden, for example, here, this is a goal with absolutely no ongoing initiative. Usually it takes initiatives to fulfill our 5-year goal. They wouldn't just be reached by doing an operational business. And this is interesting also because we believe, or I brought it up a bit earlier today, we wanted to have more support for reaching the strategic goal by these initiatives. This was one of the goals for this lean portfolio management. And here you can see, is it going in the right direction or not? And this is actually used quite often. I can tell you, just today I had a lunch with our chairman, and this is really of interest also for him, because yeah, of course, you want to make progress in your strategic goals, and this is showing it very nicely. So I need to deliver him the latest screenshot tomorrow morning. So that would be OKRs and strategic initiative, how it plays together. Now, one more feature, this is actually not, let's say it's not rocket science, but this is how our portfolio looks like. Now you can see blue bars are ongoing initiatives or planned initiatives. So everything here is right now. We have some planned initiatives. You can also see there are a lot of initiatives going on right now. Are there too many? I don't know. Or I have an opinion, but I don't tell you. You also can see here that the templates that we have for the epics. We have a very brief one for the hypothesis and a bit the longer one for the lean business case. We don't always fill in the lean business case, but for larger initiative, it's really helpful. Again, this is also something of interest for the group executive and even the board of directors, because these large initiatives, they cost a lot of money, and it's really good to see if the initiative owner makes up his or her mind how to spend the money and how, again, to create the return of invest. So that's the roadmap thing. Now,
Ueli,
yes, please.
we have another question by Parimala. Do you have a hard date by which initiatives have to be in so it can make through the portfolio backlog to implementation in time within the quarter? Or is it smooth flow of pipeline of work at your place?
Actually, I think it's smooth because we have a monthly meeting. This, let me maybe go back to this Kanban here. The pace we have here is a monthly meeting for this portfolio team. So if you drop your idea here, within a month, at least, you will get an update, or we will help you as an initiative owner to make progress. And the portfolio team is 5 people, and our group CEO is part of this portfolio team. Most of the meetings he's in, and so we can also make quite quick decisions and help you swiftly if you have an idea, or if we believe it's time. It's an important initiative also when it comes to time to market, if you want. So monthly meeting here, every 3 meetings we look after the portfolio, but we don't need the GEX portfolio review to start an initiative usually. If it's not, let's say, turning everything upside down, we can also make decisions on a monthly basis. And as I mentioned, it's not you need a month to go to the next. We can really do it quite fast. But we also have some ideas. I also collect some ideas. Usually they can stay a bit longer here. They can also stay for 1 or 2 months or even 3 months here. Sometimes also goals. We don't have to care for new goals for the upcoming year right away. It's maybe better to collect them and then assemble them and make up our mind what to pick for the next yearly goals in 23, for example, and then we are not in a hurry. So it depends a bit. Would this answer your question? Okay, thanks. Okay, this was where I stopped. So before we go into question and answer, I would like to show you some feedback that we got from the group executive. This was actually in September 21. We had this MVP, as Romano mentioned earlier, and we wanted to get some feedback from the group executive. Are we going in the right direction? Should we continue with this lean portfolio management as we did it for this 6 months in 21? And the feedback was quite positive, especially the transparency over the initiatives was actually something that everyone was really in favor of, or actually considered very important to do this holistic decision making. I think this is important. Also, it was acknowledged that we can really better support the implementation of strategic goals, also track the progress much better because of this. I mean, with the OKRs, we also can see the progress itself of initiatives, not just where it links to, but also where we are. We can also, I mean, the initiative owner, and this is actually happening, we have 2 initiatives that are stuck right now, and we can then also, so as an owner, you can also raise your hand and say, guys, I need more focus, or I'm stuck, and then we can see why, and we can support the guys and try to get a stuck initiative going on again. So, but there are also some points that we need to improve. One is some initiatives are still quite, let's say, linear going on, not really iterative. So we need to get more lean. That would be one of the goals. It's not always easy. We have, I mean, if you think about, I don't know, reorganization of a larger part of the company, still hard for us to do this in a lean or iterative way, but we want to become better there. And then also what we need to improve is the value stream view, because it is still hard without this view to make decisions whether we can still start another initiative or whether the company is overheating already. Romano, you just stop me if there are more questions, but we pretty soon we are in the Q&A. So let me maybe from a personal point of view show you what I believe did go very well in our company and what is still missing. So I think the strategic themes, so the goals, the strategic goals that we have depicted it for 25. So 5, actually, we did this in 2020. So 5-year outlook. This is really helpful. So to know what these goals are and also to describe them in a tangible way, not too fuzzy. This is, I think, really an important thing. And I believe we have very good goals in a way that very understandable. Some goals I think we should maybe readjust, but this is not the point. The point is we have them and we can discuss what to do to implement them. We can discuss whether we should readjust them and stuff. So I think also if you would do this, or if you're in the same situation, I would also recommend make sure that you have crisp goals, not too short ones. So they should at least be 2-3 years in the future. This is giving you a very good North Star to align initiatives toward. Second, what I think we should really improve is we're still lacking the development value streams. I mean, development value stream in a professional service firm as we are is not so easy to or let's say for me, it's not so easy to find them. But I think we should do more there. Actually, we started already, so it is something that was really pressing us, but it's not done yet. And I believe this is important. And what I think is a nice extra feature that we have is that we have the goals in addition to the initiatives in the same Kanban board, so that we can more fluidly come up also with goals and assemble them and then pick them for the next year, for example, or even take them into consideration for a more long-term strategic planning. So it's more open for everyone to drop ideas. Sometimes it's hard to remember in the strategy meeting what are the ideas that I had in the past year. So it's better to collect them somewhere, and this is the place to collect them and then also take them either for next year or for the next 5 years. That's it. Next steps. we would like to become more leaner where applicable. And the other one would be, we would like to establish value streams. So actually what you can see, or what you not can see here, what blurred out here is we already started this, and it's a very interesting exercise to come up with value streams and see whether they are in red, whether they are, the WIP count is exceeded, or whether they still have some capacity. So there is a very interesting discussions going on while starting this next achievement in the lean portfolio management. So those are a few information from Zühlke. You saw the company. You maybe you have an impression about the context we're in. You can also see what worked for us for the strategic initiatives. Again, so it's only really what I was talking about was about strategic initiatives. We have other portfolios, of course, but this is the one we depicted this evening. And thanks very much. And I'm now very interested in your situation, your learnings, or your questions. And with this, I think we can open discussion, Romano, right?
Right, exactly. So we have a first question from Alet. When you have development value streams, would workflow from the Kanban board to any stream based on the WIP, or is it their earlier filtering based on streams? So the question is more, are we filtering based on the work in process, or are we filtering based on the streams?
Actually, what we saw is, I would be interested in your situation there as well. Actually, what we saw is for these initiatives that we have here across the group on let's say on strategic level, we believe we will not find development value streams that would separate the work well enough so that just one value stream could take responsibility over such an initiative. I mean, many initiatives, they just take resources from all across the group, and therefore we kind of we're probably going in a direction where we won't try to have the initiatives in one single value stream, but we acknowledge that initiatives span over different value streams, and then we have to make sure that none of the value streams get overwhelmed by the sum of everything that's going on. This is our approach. It's probably not the pure safe, but what I also learned in some of the meetups, there is no pure safe, and we try to find our solution. So that, I don't know if this will answer your question, but in a nutshell, value streams, several value streams are usually involved in implementing one single epic or initiative.
Yeah, that certainly is similar to where I'm working now, where there are value streams, but not as clear a Kanban flow of work in. So initiatives span value streams, and then we do get some dependencies as a result of that. And there's different priorities across value streams and so on. So there's a complexity there, really.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, there is a complexity, and how do you try to deal with it? Do you have a plan already?
Who shouts loudest?
Okay, that's a nice one. That's a very practical one. I think we are, I mean, as said, we don't have the solution yet, but we started investigating, and I think we have some interesting insights already. Who shouts loudest is a bit dangerous, of course, also. But I think as you could see in this screenshot, there are red areas with Zühlke already, I believe. And sometimes you don't need even this picture. You know sometimes where the red areas are, but not always. And I think it's good for us to have a bit, let's say, an approach where we talk to people and then try to find out where is red and where not. And if it is red, how can we deal with the red? Can we increase capacity? Can we increase the capacity by taking internal resources or internal colleagues, or is it something that you could cover by externals and stuff like this? So I think it triggers interesting questions. But as you said, I also believe there is no real easy way to solve this.
No, that's really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question from Parmila. It's better to do operational value stream first, then do development value stream to align operational value stream. You can minimize dependencies. Perhaps I can answer this question. So when you look at the pure theory of SAFe, then you usually go and analyze first the operational value streams so that you can identify the systems which support these operational value streams, and then you're going to identify the development value streams which are building these system or supporting these system. So yes, absolutely right. It's better to first identify the operational value stream, but what you also need to understand, sort of these development value streams, they are already there. Also at Zühlke, we have sort of these development value streams. They are just not dedicated, and they don't have a dedicated budget where you are going to fund a development value stream. It's more like you have persons or you have teams, and these teams are funded, or even the project or the initiatives are funded, which these teams are doing. And that's also something that you see quite often. And that's why it's important to first identify the operational value stream and then the development value streams. Does this answer the question? I assume so. Then, Ueli, we had also a question by Graham, which I have answered. What tools are you using to set OKRs? And I said GTM Hub. Do you want to say one or two words to GTM Hub?
I mean, I don't have shares from GTM Hub, but I think, I don't know, actually, I don't know the tool landscape very well. I can say we use it, and it really does the trick for us. The important thing for me is that we have a group-wide tool that is accepted by the users. I think the real value comes, as I said, by I mean, you can align people only if people are also using the same tool. I would say we had Excel and some other things before, but with repository crap and everything, it's impossible. So I think this is important. So what we also can see is, now that we have a common tool, is that we also learn much better from each other. I believe it's not just to see what is this other guy doing. That's not happening too often, except for the strategic goals. But let's say between countries, people are not aligning too much from one country to another. This is also not how we are working as with very strong countries. They have to be successful for themselves, and then also, of course, for the group. But what is really happening is that people look how to use OKRs in their daily business. And we could also learn, for example, that it's important to start really at the top. When I first wanted to introduce OKRs in the Zühlke group, I was under the impression that we should start rather, let's say, in smaller teams. But nowadays, I believe we should really start at the top. And I would not go too deep into the organization. If people are not fond of using OKRs, I would not push small teams to use them. They can use other means, but where it really can show the superpowers is if you use it on the top. And also, I think this is not really tool driven, but I think my recommendation is, don't use OKRs if you don't have a team that is willing to meet at least every fortnight to look after the key results. you need these recurring meetings also to discuss the progress just briefly, and also to see where you are not making progress. And the tool is really helpful there. I mean, we've been talking with GTM Hub themselves. They also made some proposals what to improve. So there are also some drawbacks there, but it's I would say it's a nice company. They also care about us, and we can actually talk to them if we believe we need something, and they are very responsive.
Yeah, and what we also need to say, the portfolio Kanban itself is in Jira, and we also use Confluence pages for the epics. And but what we can clearly see is, yes, we use, you see, 3 tools at the moment, and a 4th one, which is Excel, of course. This is actually not so nice. It would be better to have 1 tool, but most of the people are just using 1 tool, and that's GTM Hub.
Maybe there is a question for you guys listening now or joining this session. What is your experience? Do you have other nice tools, or what are you using?
There is an answer, Jira and Miro.
Okay.
From OLED.
Thanks.
And I just see that we have also a question from Rob. Has your experience of implementing lean portfolio management helped in any way with the wider business understanding and appreciation of agile ways of working?
Do you mean within the company, right? Is that?
I think so. It's within Zühlke. I think so, when I interpret it correctly.
So I would say, if the question is our understanding of our business, I mean, what we really learned is we can do more initiatives that pay directly into strategic goals. And this was actually also a bit the question. Can we go there? We had so many initiatives, just making sure we have the right tool set or whatever. So it was more laying the ground, but not paying into strategic goals. And the question is, why is it, and can we change it? And the answer is yes, we can change it. We can do more initiatives paying into the strategic goals. Now, is it due to lean portfolio management? I would think to a certain degree, yes. I think we really strive also to limit the initiatives that are also necessary to a certain degree to, have a good IT framework and stuff. But we also want to make sure that we have more strategic initiatives going into the strategic goals. And I think this proves a bit for ourselves that we can steer also internally such things, and we can sort it out a bit better. Did it lead to, I mean, we do have some initiatives going on really directly improving the impact on the market, and of course these guys are learning from that. I cannot tell you too much detail there, but of course some of our initiatives, the goal there is to create this and that impact on the market, and I'm sure these guys, they learn more about the business while implementing these initiatives. I mean, but the learnings would also be there if you would take, I don't know, something else than lean portfolio management from SAFe. That's not the reason, is that they are doing and caring, and that they really have a goal to improve something in the market, and the learning comes from there.
Yeah, and I also think what I can clearly see is, yes, when we look at appreciating the agile ways of working, we are currently really cracking our heads on how can we make big initiatives leaner. So how can we define an MVP for a large initiative at Zühlke? And this is not so easy, and this is also something you need to change with the people, and it's also something that we see at our customer side, which is also difficult because many people are coming from a project world where they had projects where you had sort of a requirements phase and then an implementation phase, and then it was a sort of done, and you had a clear budget and a timeline. And now we are coming and saying, hey, look, when you have an initiative, please create an epic hypothesis statement and define what the MVP is and what the customer need, what problem are we solving, and what is the leading indicator. So the earliest possible thing we can measure to prove the hypothesis. And many people have a real problem with that, just identifying, okay, how can I define at all the hypothesis behind that? Because usually you just have in mind, I want to introduce tool XYZ at Zühlke. But what is the hypothesis behind that? And going that way is quite interesting, and also coaching these people in this direction. This is a journey which we are going, and I think it will take some time until we are really there, and perhaps also with some large initiatives we will never be there.
Brilliant. Thank you both for answering that. That's excellent answer.
You're welcome. Good. Then I see another question from Parimala. How big is your portfolio team? How many development teams are pulling work from this portfolio backlog? Ueli.
Yeah, the team is 5 people. I mean, we are not full-time assigned to this, but we meet on a monthly basis, and I would say it's probably maybe 0.8 FTE or whatever for the entire year, and we serve around 12 right now, 12 parallel initiatives with around let me guess 25 FTEs in parallel. Of course, many people involved, but full-time equivalents would be around that. Maybe be the power behind the initiatives, and yeah, as said, maybe 10, 12 initiatives. Does this answer your question, or do you have?
She has a noisy background, so
okay.
I assume it was answered.
Okay.
Yeah. She says, thanks, Ueli. Just curious about the dev teams.
Okay.
Good. Any more questions or discussions? Or even have you experience with lean portfolio management? I think many people are leaving now.
Yeah, okay. So let's say thank you from my side before I just talked to Romano. No, it was really good to have you here today. Thanks very much for joining and for your time this evening. Would be glad if someone has a follow-up question or a remark to get in touch with us. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
No follow-up questions, but really, really insightful. So a massive thank you from me. I've been listening intently, but lots to think about. So thank you.
Very welcome.
Okay, Romano?
I think so. So thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.